Want to break into one of cybersecurity's most elite roles? Discover the secrets top companies look for in 2025 with these must-know Malware Analyst interview questions, focused on reverse engineering like a pro. 1. What is your process for analyzing a newly discovered piece of malware? When analyzing new malware, I begin with a secure environment, typically an isolated VM. First, I perform static analysis to examine file headers, strings, and metadata without execution. Next, I use hashing to check for known threats. If the sample is unknown, I proceed to dynamic analysis in a sandbox to observe real-time behavior. I document indicators such as file modifications, registry changes, and network traffic. Finally, I use reverse engineering tools to decompile and study the malware logic. This layered approach ensures safe, thorough analysis and identification of the malware's purpose and capabilities. 2. Which tools do you primarily use for reverse engineering malware and why? I use tools like IDA Pro and Ghidra for static analysis due to their powerful disassembling and decompiling capabilities. For dynamic analysis, I rely on Process Monitor, Wireshark, and Cuckoo Sandbox to monitor system and network activity. X64DBG is great for debugging live code. I also use PID or Detect It Easy to identify packers. For automation and scripting, Python is essential, and volatility is crucial for memory forensics. These tools provide a comprehensive toolkit, allowing me to dissect malware at every level, from high-level behavior to low-level binary structure, ensuring accurate threat analysis. 3. How do you identify if a malware sample uses obfuscation or packing techniques? To detect obfuscation or packing, I examine the file's entropy. High entropy often indicates encryption or compression. Tools like PID, Detect It Easy, and XinfoP help identify known packers. During static analysis, suspicious import tables, small code sections, or a single entry point can suggest packing. If unpacking is suspected, I run the sample in a debugger and trace execution until it jumps to the original code. I then dump memory to recover the unpacked binary. Recognizing these traits early helps bypass obfuscation and reach the core logic of the malware more efficiently. 4. What's the difference between static and dynamic analysis? When do you use each? Static analysis involves examining malware code without executing it, using tools like IDA Pro or Ghidra. It's ideal for understanding structure, extracting strings, and identifying embedded resources or APIs. Dynamic analysis, in contrast, observes the malware in action, tracking file changes, network behavior, and process activity in a sandboxed environment. I use static analysis first for a risk-free overview, followed by dynamic analysis to validate assumptions and capture runtime behavior. Combining both approaches offers a deeper understanding, revealing hidden functionalities or conditional payloads that may only activate under specific circumstances. 5. Describe a situation where you successfully reverse-engineered a complex threat. In a previous role, I analyzed a ransomware strain that bypassed endpoint protection by exploiting a zero-day vulnerability. The binary was packed and encrypted with custom routines. After unpacking, I used Ghidra to reverse its control flow and identified the encryption algorithm and key generation method. Dynamic analysis showed it connected to a hidden Tor C2 server. By reconstructing the key derivation function, I built a decryption tool that helped recover files for several victims. This effort not only mitigated damage but contributed signatures and YARA rules to community defenses, showcasing the importance of deep reverse engineering. 6. How do you handle anti-debugging or anti-VM techniques during malware analysis? Malware often uses anti-debugging tricks like isDebuggerPresent or anti-global flag checks, and anti-VM tactics like detecting known MAC addresses or virtualization drivers. I bypass these by patching API calls or setting breakpoints to manipulate return values. I also configure custom VM environments to hide virtualization signatures. Using kernel-level debuggers or emulators like QEMU helps bypass user mode evasion. In some cases, I statically patch the binary or modify memory at runtime to disable anti-analysis logic. Understanding these tactics is essential to fully analyzing modern malware without detection or interference from the sample. 7. What are common indicators of a malware's command and control communication? Common C2 indicators include hard-coded IPs or domains, encrypted traffic over unusual ports, beaconing behavior, or connections to dynamic DNS services. DNS tunneling, HTTPS with self-signed certificates, or use of uncommon protocols like ICMP may also signal C2 activity. I analyze network captures using Wireshark and monitor domain resolutions, request intervals, and payload patterns. Extracting URLs or encryption keys during static analysis helps confirm C2 infrastructure. These indicators help identify malware families and trace threat actor infrastructure, which is crucial for threat intelligence and proactive defense measures. 8. Explain how you detect and analyze rootkits or bootkits. Rootkits and bootkits operate at low levels to hide their presence. I use tools like GMER, TDSS Killer, or Volatility to scan memory and compare kernel structures for anomalies. I check for hidden drivers, hooks in system calls, or discrepancies in file and process listings. For bootkits, I analyze boot sectors and EFI modules. Memory forensics and disk image comparisons reveal unauthorized modifications. Reversing these threats requires deep kernel knowledge and low-level debugging. Their stealth makes them dangerous, so thorough validation using multiple detection layers is key to exposing and neutralizing them effectively. 9. How do you safely execute and monitor malware behavior in a sandboxed environment? I use isolated virtual machines with tools like Cuckoo Sandbox or any run, configured with minimal baseline activity to highlight malware behavior. The VMs are network restricted or use controlled simulated internet environments. Before execution, I take snapshots for quick rollback. I monitor processes, file system changes, registry edits, and network traffic in real time using sysinternals tools and Wireshark. System resource usage and command line activity are also logged. After execution, I compare the state against the baseline to extract IOCs. Ensuring the sandbox mimics a real environment helps elicit full malware behavior without exposing production systems. 10. What are the ethical and legal considerations in reverse engineering malware? Reverse engineering must respect legal boundaries, including software licenses and jurisdictional laws. Analyzing malware is typically legal for security research, but distributing samples, decryption keys, or exploit code without authorization can breach laws. Ethically, malware analysts should avoid exposing sensitive data or harming systems during analysis. Collaboration with vendors and responsible disclosure are crucial when identifying zero-day vulnerabilities. I ensure my work aligns with organizational policies, laws like the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and ethical frameworks that prioritize user safety, transparency, and community benefit. Clear documentation and secure storage of findings also maintain ethical integrity. 11. Can you explain how polymorphic and metamorphic malware differ? Polymorphic malware encrypts its payload and changes its code appearance with each infection using different encryption keys or variable junk code, but its core logic remains unchanged. Metamorphic malware, on the other hand, rewrites its entire code structure with each iteration, often reordering instructions, changing flow, or rewriting code blocks without using encryption. This makes detection much harder, especially for signature-based tools. While both aim to evade detection, metamorphic malware is more advanced and harder to analyze. I use deep static and behavioral analysis, including control flow graphs, to detect consistent logic patterns across variants. 12. How do you extract IX, indicators of compromise, from a malicious binary? I extract IOCs by analyzing the malware's binary and behavior. During static analysis, I extract hard-coded IPs, domains, file names, mutexes, and registry keys using tools like strings, Ghidra, or Floss. In dynamic analysis, I use network monitors and system activity trackers to uncover runtime artifacts like dropped files, processes, URLs, or communication patterns. Memory dumps help identify decrypted payloads or C2 traffic. I document each IOC with context, execution timing, purpose, and persistence mechanism. These indicators are essential for detection, threat intelligence sharing, and crafting defensive rules for SIEMs, firewalls, or antivirus systems. 13. What role does memory analysis play in reverse engineering malware? Memory analysis provides insight into malware's runtime behavior and hidden components that may not appear in static analysis. It reveals unpacked or decrypted payloads, injected code, and live network connections. Tools like volatility or recall allow me to extract loaded modules, suspicious processes, and API hooks from memory dumps. This is especially important for malware using in-memory execution or reflective DLL injection. By comparing the memory state before and after execution, I can pinpoint exactly what the malware modifies or hides. Memory forensics bridges the gap between static and dynamic analysis, often uncovering crucial evidence. 14. Describe your experience with disassemblers like IDA Pro, Ghidra, or Radar2. I've extensively used IDA Pro for its precision and plugin ecosystem, especially for analyzing x86 and x64 binaries. Ghidra, with its decompiler and collaborative features, is excellent for reversing complex code and sharing findings with teammates. I use it often due to its open-source nature. Radar2 is more scriptable and lightweight, useful in constrained environments or custom automation. I apply these tools to analyze control flow, identify key functions, and rename symbols for clarity. Familiarity with these disassemblers allows me to dissect malware logic efficiently, even in heavily obfuscated or packed samples. 15. How do you analyze malware written in non-standard or custom languages? When dealing with non-standard or custom languages like malware written in Golang, Rust, or even custom bytecode, I begin by identifying the language using binary signatures or strings. For Golang and Rust, I account for large binary sizes and embedded runtime. I use language-specific reverse engineering plugins, e.g., Ghidra's Golang loader, and cross-reference known library calls. With custom languages or VMs, I reverse the interpreter or virtual machine first, then decode the bytecode logic. This often requires writing custom disassemblers or emulators. Patience and creativity are key, as these samples are designed to frustrate traditional analysis. 16. Have you worked with firmware-level malware or supply chain attacks? Yes, I've investigated supply chain attacks and firmware-level threats, including compromised device firmware and UEFI implants. These threats often persist beyond OS reinstallation. I use firmware analysis tools like ChipSec and Binwalk to examine RAM images and detect anomalies. For supply chain attacks, I trace malware origin, validate software integrity, and analyze digital signatures. Identifying tampered binaries or malicious updates requires deep scrutiny of build environments and component provenance. These attacks are sophisticated and require collaboration with hardware vendors or incident response teams. Early detection is vital to preventing widespread compromise. 17. How do you reverse engineer malware targeting mobile or IoT devices? For mobile malware, I use tools like APKtool, JADX, and Frida to decompile and analyze Android applications, and tools like Hopper or Ghidra for iOS binaries. I emulate environments using Android Studio or custom virtual machines to observe behavior. For IoT malware, I extract firmware using UART/JTAG or download images from vendor sites. I analyze them using Binwalk, Ghidra, or QEMU emulation. IoT malware often targets embedded Linux, so I look for scripts, binaries, and C2 logic. Challenges include architecture diversity, ARM, MIPS, and limited tooling, but tailored environments and static/dynamic analysis yield critical insights. 18. What scripting languages do you use to automate malware analysis tasks? Python is my primary scripting language due to its versatility and rich security libraries, e.g., pfile, YARPython, Capstone. I use it to automate unpacking routines, string decryption, and log parsing. I've written scripts to extract configuration data, convert shellcode to binaries, and automate API tracing. Bash scripting aids in orchestration across systems. I also use PowerShell for Windows-based automation and C for writing loaders or custom analysis tools. Automation speeds up repetitive tasks, ensures consistency, and enables scalable analysis pipelines, especially when handling large volumes of malware samples or threat hunting. 19. How do you stay current with evolving malware techniques and APT threats? I stay updated through multiple channels, reading technical blogs, e.g., Malwarebytes Labs, FireEye, Kaspersky, monitoring threat reports, and following security researchers on Twitter and GitHub. I participate in online forums, attend webinars and security conferences like Black Hat, DEF CON, and take part in Capture the Flag, CTF, challenges to sharpen skills. I also subscribe to threat intelligence feeds and malware repositories like VirusTotal and Any.Run. Continuous learning and engagement with the community are vital, as APT tactics evolve rapidly and staying informed helps in timely detection and effective defense. 20. In 2025, what emerging malware threats concern you most and why? In 2025, AI-enhanced malware and autonomous threat actors concern me most. Attackers now use machine learning for evasion, code mutation, and decision-making, making detection harder. Fileless and memory-resident malware continues to rise, exploiting legitimate tools like PowerShell and WMI. Cross-platform malware targeting cloud and container environments is also growing. Deepfake-enabled phishing and manipulation of identity systems raise concerns about trust and verification. The increasing attack surface from IoT and 5G connected devices poses additional challenges. These trends require new defensive paradigms, real-time behavioral analytics, and greater collaboration between researchers, vendors, and global certs. Mastering these malware analyst interview questions can set you apart in the competitive cybersecurity field. Keep learning, keep practicing, and stay ahead of evolving threats. Good luck cracking the code in 2025.